Life is a journey filled with challenges, struggles, victories, lessons, pain, hope, and endless possibilities. Every human being dreams of happiness, peace, success, respect, love, and inner satisfaction. Yet many people spend years fighting fear, doubt, stress, disappointment, and negative thinking without realizing that the condition of the mind silently controls the direction of life. Power of positive thinking is not a fantasy, and it is not blind optimism disconnected from reality. It is a way of understanding life with courage, patience, hope, and responsibility. Positive thinking does not ignore problems, and it does not pretend that pain does not exist. Instead, it teaches human beings how to face difficulties without surrendering to hopelessness. Every thought creates an emotional reaction, and every emotional reaction influences behavior. A person who constantly thinks about fear, failure, weakness, and negativity slowly becomes emotionally tired, discouraged, and uncertain. On the other hand, a person who trains the mind to focus on growth, learning, opportunity, gratitude, and purpose develops stronger emotional stability, confidence, and resilience. History is filled with examples of ordinary people who transformed their lives not because they possessed extraordinary talent, but because they refused to allow negative circumstances to destroy their hope. Many successful individuals faced poverty, rejection, criticism, failure, loneliness, and emotional pain before achieving meaningful success. Their strength came from the decision to continue moving forward, despite difficulties. The human mind is one of the most powerful forces in existence. It can become the source of destruction or the source of transformation. Thoughts influence decisions, habits, relationships, goals, health, and personal identity. A negative mindset creates fear, hesitation, and self-doubt, while a positive mindset creates determination, courage, creativity, and emotional endurance. Life often fills the human mind with pressure, comparison, anxiety, and confusion. Many people wake up every morning carrying emotional burdens created by stress, social expectations, financial struggles, and painful memories. As negativity increases, inner peace slowly disappears. Relationships become weaker, motivation decreases, and happiness feels distant. This is why positive thinking has become more important than ever before. Human beings need mental strength, not only to achieve success, but also to survive emotional struggles. With wisdom, balance, and hope, positive thinking helps individuals rise after failure, remain calm during uncertainty, and continue believing in growth, even during painful moments. This book is not written to create false dreams or unrealistic expectations. Life will always contain suffering, disappointment, and hardship. Every person will experience moments of weakness, loss, and emotional pain. However, the way people respond to these experiences determines whether they become stronger or become prisoners of hopelessness. Throughout this book, you will discover how thoughts influence behavior, emotions, relationships, confidence, discipline, and success. You will understand the hidden connection between mindset and personal growth. You will learn why some people remain mentally strong during difficult seasons while others collapse under pressure. You will also explore practical ways to develop emotional resilience, self-belief, gratitude, patience, and purposeful action. Each chapter focuses on real life experiences, human psychology, emotional truth, and motivational wisdom. Every lesson is designed to inspire transformation while remaining connected with reality. Because true positive thinking is not about escaping life, but about learning how to live life with strength, maturity, and hope. The journey toward a better life always begins inside the mind, before success appears in the outside. World change must first happen within thoughts, beliefs, and attitude. When the mind becomes stronger, actions become stronger, and when actions become stronger, life slowly begins to change. Power of positive thinking is the power to rise after falling, the power to continue during hardship, the power to believe in possibility during darkness, and the power to create meaning even during struggle. It is the invisible force that transforms ordinary individuals into emotionally strong, purposeful, and determined Human beings, this journey begins. Now, Chapter 1, the beginning of a new mindset. Every human being enters this world with dreams, fears, emotions, and unlimited possibilities. Some people grow in homes filled with encouragement, support, and emotional warmth, while others grow in environments shaped by criticism, pressure, conflict, and negativity. Yet regardless of background, one truth remains powerful and unchangeable. The direction of life is deeply connected with the condition of the mind. The human mind works like fertile land. Whatever thoughts are planted repeatedly eventually begin to grow. If fear is planted, fear becomes stronger. If hopelessness is planted, emotional weakness slowly develops. But if courage, hope, discipline, and belief are planted, then strength, confidence, and resilience begin to grow inside the individual. Most people never realize how much their thoughts control their emotions, behavior, and future. They focus only on external problems while ignoring the internal battles happening inside their minds. Every day, human beings speak silently to themselves through inner conversations. Some people repeat words of doubt and failure, while others repeat words of growth and determination. These repeated thoughts slowly shape personal identity. A person who constantly thinks, "I am weak, I cannot succeed," or "life will never improve," eventually begins to behave according to these beliefs. Confidence disappears, motivation decreases, and fear becomes stronger. On the other hand, a person who believes improvement is possible begins acting with greater courage, patience, and emotional energy. Positive thinking does not mean pretending that life is always beautiful. Life contains pain, disappointment, struggle, loss, and uncertainty. Positive thinking simply means refusing to allow temporary darkness to destroy long-term hope. It means accepting reality honestly, while still believing that growth, healing, and progress are possible. Many individuals spend years trapped in negative thinking because of painful experiences from childhood, failure, criticism, or rejection. They begin believing that suffering is permanent and success belongs only to lucky people. Slowly they stop trying because the mind becomes filled with emotional exhaustion and fear. One young boy grew up in a poor neighborhood where hopelessness surrounded daily life. Most people around him believed that poverty was their permanent destiny. His parents worked hard, but financial struggles remained constant. Every day he listened to conversations filled with negativity, fear, and frustration. Relatives often told him that people from ordinary families could never achieve great success. As he grew older, these negative beliefs became part of his identity. He stopped believing in his abilities and avoided challenges because he expected failure before even trying. During school, he rarely participated in activities because he feared embarrassment and criticism. His confidence became weaker every year. One day, a teacher noticed his silence and lack of self-belief. The teacher asked him a simple question: "Why do you speak about yourself as if you have already failed?" The boy could not answer because he had never examined his thoughts carefully before. The teacher explained that the human mind accepts repeated thoughts as truth. Whether thoughts are positive or negative, the mind slowly builds identity around them. The teacher encouraged him to stop feeding fear and begin training his mind with better thoughts. At first, the boy considered these ideas unrealistic because negativity had dominated his thinking for many years. Despite his doubts, he decided to try. He began waking up earlier, studying harder, and speaking to himself differently. Instead of saying, "I cannot succeed," he started saying, "I can improve through effort." Instead of avoiding challenges, he forced himself to participate, even when fear appeared. The transformation was not immediate. There were still moments of insecurity, failure, and emotional struggle. Yet something important changed inside him. He no longer viewed himself as powerless. Over time, his confidence increased, his academic performance improved, and his emotional strength became stronger. Years later, he became a successful engineer who helped support his family and inspire younger students from similar backgrounds. His life changed not because circumstances suddenly became easy, but because his mindset changed first. This example reveals one of the most important truths about human growth. External transformation often begins with internal transformation. The mind influences every area of life, including relationships, career, education, health, and emotional well-being. A negative mindset creates emotional heaviness, which affects decisions, behavior, and energy levels. People trapped in negativity often expect rejection, failure, and disappointment even before events happen. Positive thinking creates a different emotional environment. It encourages action, patience, learning, and perseverance. Hopeful individuals usually recover faster after difficulties because they refuse to believe that pain will last forever. They continue searching for solutions, while others remain trapped in hopelessness. Modern society often increases negative thinking, social comparison, stress, financial pressure, unrealistic expectations, and constant exposure to negativity through media create emotional exhaustion. Many people spend hours consuming fear, anger, criticism, and unhealthy comparison without realizing how deeply these influences affect the mind. The human brain absorbs repeated information continuously. If negativity enters the mind every day, emotional balance becomes weaker. This is why protecting mental space is extremely important. Reading inspiring material, surrounding oneself with supportive people, practicing gratitude, and focusing on meaningful goals all contribute to stronger emotional health. Positive thinking also changes the way people interpret challenges. Two individuals may experience the same problem, yet react completely differently. One person views difficulty as proof that life is unfair, while another views the same difficulty as an opportunity to learn, grow, and become stronger. The difference often lies not in intelligence, talent, or luck, but in mindset. Many successful people experienced painful failures before achieving meaningful progress. Inventors, entrepreneurs, athletes, artists, and leaders all faced rejection, criticism, and disappointment. Yet they continued moving forward because they believed failure was temporary rather than permanent. Positive thinking strengthens resilience, which is the ability to recover from hardship. Resilient people still experience sadness, fear, frustration, and emotional pain like everyone else. The difference is that they refuse to remain defeated permanently. They acknowledge pain while continuing to move forward, step by step. Another important aspect of positive thinking is personal responsibility. Human beings cannot control every circumstance, but they can control many of their reactions. Complaining without action weakens the spirit, while constructive thinking encourages growth and problem solving. Some individuals wait for life to improve before changing their mindset. They believe happiness, confidence, and hope will appear automatically after success arrives. In reality, mindset usually changes before external success appears. A stronger mind creates stronger actions, and stronger actions eventually create better results. Positive thinking also improves relationships. People who carry excessive negativity often spread emotional tension into conversations, friendships, and family interactions. Fear, anger, bitterness, and insecurity damage communication and trust. On the other hand, emotionally balanced individuals usually communicate with greater patience, understanding, and kindness. Gratitude plays a major role in developing positivity. Human beings naturally focus on problems because survival instincts prioritize danger, yet constantly focusing only on suffering creates emotional imbalance. Gratitude trains the mind to recognize blessings, progress, opportunities, and meaningful experiences even during difficult seasons. A person may not control every event in life, but every person can choose where attention will remain. Attention becomes emotional energy. Whatever receives constant attention eventually grows stronger inside the mind. Positive thinking requires practice because the mind naturally develops habits, just as physical exercise strengthens the body. Mental discipline strengthens emotional resilience. Repeating healthy thoughts, practicing self-awareness, and choosing constructive perspectives gradually reshape emotional patterns over time. It is also important to understand that positive thinking does not mean denying reality. Some people misuse motivational ideas by pretending problems do not exist. Genuine positivity acknowledges difficulties honestly while maintaining determination to continue growing. Despite them, there will always be moments of failure, uncertainty, and disappointment. Life cannot exist without challenge. Yet challenge itself often becomes the source of wisdom, maturity, strength, and personal transformation. Many individuals discover their deepest courage only after experiencing painful seasons. The beginning of a new mindset starts with awareness. A person must first recognize the connection between thoughts, emotions, and behavior. Once this understanding develops, change becomes possible. Negative beliefs no longer remain invisible rulers controlling the mind automatically. Every human being possesses the ability to reshape thinking patterns through conscious effort. The process may require patience, consistency, and emotional honesty, but transformation remains possible regardless of past experiences. The quality of life is deeply connected with the quality of thoughts. A hopeful mind searches for possibility, while a defeated mind searches for excuses. Positive thinking, therefore, becomes far more than temporary motivation. It becomes the foundation for emotional strength, meaningful action, healthy relationships, and long-term personal growth. The journey toward a better future begins inside the invisible world of the mind. When thoughts change, actions begin changing, and when actions change, life slowly begins transforming as well. Chapter 2. Understanding the hidden language of the mind. The human mind is one of the most mysterious and powerful creations in existence. Even during silence, the mind continues speaking through thoughts, memories, emotions, fears, dreams, and imagination. Every decision, every reaction, and every habit begins inside this invisible mental world. Yet many people move through life without understanding how deeply their inner thoughts influence their reality. The mind never stops working. It constantly creates interpretations about life, people, situations, and personal identity. These interpretations slowly shape emotions, behavior, confidence, and emotional health. A person may appear strong from the outside, while secretly carrying destructive thoughts that create suffering within. Another person may face difficult circumstances, yet remain emotionally stable because of healthier mental patterns. The hidden language of the mind is formed over many years. Childhood experiences, family environments, education, friendships, failures, criticism, and emotional pain all leave impressions on the subconscious mind. Human beings absorb messages continuously and eventually begin believing many of those messages without questioning them. A child repeatedly told that he is useless, weak, or incapable may grow into adulthood carrying invisible emotional wounds. Even after becoming intelligent, talented, or successful, that person may still struggle with self-doubt because the subconscious mind continues repeating old beliefs planted during earlier years. On the other hand, a child raised with encouragement, discipline, support, and emotional balance often develops stronger confidence and resilience. This does not mean such individuals avoid suffering, but they usually possess healthier internal conversations that help them recover from difficulties more effectively. The subconscious mind acts like silent storage for repeated thoughts and emotional experiences. Whatever enters repeatedly eventually becomes familiar and accepted as truth. Process explains why negative thinking becomes dangerous when practiced continuously. Thoughts repeated daily slowly transform into beliefs, and beliefs influence behavior. Many individuals unknowingly speak negatively to themselves throughout the day. They say things like, "I always fail," "Nobody respects me," "I will never succeed," or "My life can never improve." These statements may seem small, but repeated negativity slowly weakens emotional strength and personal confidence. Young woman dreamed of becoming a doctor since childhood. She studied hard and possessed natural intelligence. Yet deep inside, she constantly feared failure because throughout her life relatives compared her with others and questioned her abilities. Whenever she made mistakes, she immediately believed she was not good enough. During university, her anxiety became severe. Before examinations, her mind repeated negative thoughts continuously. She doubted herself, even when she prepared carefully. As stress increased, her performance began declining, which strengthened her fear even more. One professor eventually noticed her emotional struggle and advised her to examine the way she spoke to herself. The professor explained that the human mind often believes repeated emotional messages, regardless of whether those messages are completely true. He encouraged her to replace destructive thoughts with balanced and constructive ones. First, this process felt uncomfortable because negativity had become natural to her mind. Yet she continued practicing. She began writing encouraging statements every morning. She stopped comparing herself constantly with others and focused more on personal growth, effort, and discipline. Slowly, her confidence improved, her anxiety decreased, and her academic performance became stronger. Years later, she completed medical school successfully. Her journey proved that external ability alone is not enough. Mental patterns strongly influence performance, emotional stability, and personal growth. This example reveals an important reality. Many people are not defeated by lack of talent, but by the destructive language constantly repeated inside their minds. Fear, insecurity, and hopelessness often become internal prisons stronger than external obstacles. Thinking begins with awareness. Human beings must learn to observe their thoughts instead of automatically believing every negative idea appearing in the mind. Not every thought represents truth. Some thoughts are created by fear, emotional wounds, social pressure, or painful experiences from the past. Mind also possesses a natural tendency to focus on danger and negativity because human survival historically depended on recognizing threats quickly. While this instinct helped ancient humans survive physical danger, it often creates emotional imbalance in modern life. Constant focus on problems, criticism, fear, and comparison increases anxiety and emotional exhaustion. This is why conscious mental training becomes necessary. Positive thinking does not happen automatically. The mind must be guided intentionally through awareness, discipline, reflection, and healthy emotional habits. Scientists studying psychology and neuroscience have discovered that the human brain possesses remarkable adaptability. This ability means mental patterns can change over time through repetition and conscious effort. The brain creates new neural connections based on repeated experiences and thoughts. This scientific understanding provides hope because it proves that negative thinking is not always permanent. Even individuals raised in unhealthy emotional environments can gradually build stronger mental habits through consistent practice. The process may require patience because old emotional patterns do not disappear instantly. Yet transformation remains possible for those willing to continue practicing healthier thinking. Gratitude is one powerful method for reshaping the language of the mind. Human beings often become emotionally trapped because they focus only on what is missing, suffering, or difficult. Gratitude shifts attention toward blessings, progress, opportunities, relationships, and meaningful experiences already present in life. This does not mean ignoring pain or pretending problems do not exist. Genuine gratitude simply creates emotional balance. It reminds the mind that even during hardship, goodness and possibilities still exist. Another important aspect of mental language involves self-respect. Many people treat themselves with unnecessary cruelty. They forgive others easily while condemning themselves for every mistake. This harsh inner criticism slowly destroys emotional health and confidence. Positive thinking encourages balanced self-compassion. Self-compassion does not mean avoiding responsibility. It means understanding that mistakes, failures, and weaknesses are part of human growth instead of viewing mistakes as proof of worthlessness. Emotionally healthy individuals use mistakes as opportunities for learning and improvement. Environment surrounding a person also influences mental patterns significantly. Constant exposure to negativity, criticism, anger, gossip, and emotional toxicity weakens mental peace. Human beings unconsciously absorb emotional energy from people around them. For this reason, relationships become extremely important, supportive friendships, healthy family interactions, and encouraging mentors strengthen emotional resilience, while toxic environments often increase fear, stress, and insecurity. Media consumption also affects the hidden language of the mind. Modern society exposes people to endless streams of comparison, fear, violence, criticism, and unrealistic expectations through television, social media, and online content. Constant exposure to negativity influences emotional well-being, even when individuals do not realize it. Consciously protecting mental space, therefore, becomes necessary. Reading meaningful books, listening to inspiring conversations, practicing reflection, and spending time in emotionally healthy environments all contribute to stronger positive thinking. Silence and self-reflection are equally valuable. Many individuals remain distracted constantly and rarely spend time understanding their own thoughts, emotions, and motivations. Yet without self-awareness, negative patterns continue operating automatically beneath the surface. Reflection allows individuals to recognize harmful beliefs hidden inside the mind. Once these beliefs become visible, they can gradually be challenged and replaced with healthier perspectives. This process creates emotional freedom because unconscious negativity loses power. When brought into conscious awareness, positive thinking also influences relationships deeply. Individuals filled with insecurity often struggle to trust others. Those carrying excessive fear may constantly expect betrayal, rejection, or criticism. Meanwhile, emotionally balanced individuals usually build stronger relationships because they communicate with greater honesty, patience, empathy, and confidence. The hidden language of the mind affects physical health as well. Chronic stress, anxiety, hopelessness, and emotional negativity influence sleep, energy, immune function, and overall well-being. The body continuously responds to emotional conditions created by mental patterns. This is why emotional health should never be ignored. Mental peace contributes not only to happiness, but also to physical vitality and long-term well-being. A healthy mind supports a healthier life overall. Every human being experiences negative thoughts occasionally. The goal of positive thinking is not perfection, but direction. Emotional growth happens gradually through awareness and practice. The objective is not to eliminate all fear, sadness, or doubt, but to prevent these emotions from controlling life completely. The mind functions like a garden. If weeds remain ignored, they spread quickly and damage healthy growth. Similarly, negative thoughts expand when left unchallenged. Positive thinking requires regular mental care through gratitude, learning, reflection, emotional honesty, and disciplined awareness. Human beings possess extraordinary potential for inner transformation. Once individuals understand the hidden language of the mind, they gain greater control over emotional direction. Instead of becoming prisoners of fear, insecurity, and hopelessness, they begin building lives guided by purpose, confidence, resilience, and hope. The journey toward emotional freedom begins with one important realization: thoughts are powerful, and the quality of those thoughts slowly shapes the quality of life. Chapter 3. Relationship between positive thinking and human action. Thoughts alone cannot build a successful life, yet thoughts strongly influence the actions that shape success. Human beings act according to what they believe about themselves and about life. A person who constantly expects failure often avoids effort, while a person who believes improvement is possible usually continues moving forward. Despite difficulties, positive thinking becomes powerful only when connected with action, discipline, patience, and responsibility. Many people misunderstand positivity because they imagine that simply wishing for a better life will automatically transform reality. In truth, positive thinking is not a replacement for hard work. It is the emotional energy that supports consistent effort during difficult moments. Every action begins first inside the mind. Before a person speaks, works, creates, or changes something, the mind forms an internal decision. Thoughts influence confidence, motivation, courage, and the emotional endurance. When negative thinking dominates the mind, action becomes weak, delayed, or completely absent. Fear creates hesitation, while hope encourages movement. A student who believes "I will never pass this examination" may stop studying. Seriously, because the mind already expects failure. Another student facing the same difficult subject may think "this challenge is hard, but I can improve through effort." Because of this healthier mindset, the second student usually studies with greater focus, patience, and determination. The difference between these individuals is not always intelligence, talent, or luck. The difference often begins with belief. Positive thinking creates emotional strength that supports meaningful action. Many people remain trapped in dreams without action. They speak constantly about goals, success, happiness, and change, but refuse to develop discipline. Without action, even the strongest motivational ideas remain powerless. Real transformation happens when thoughts and behavior work together. One young man dreamed of becoming a successful athlete since childhood. He admired professional players and imagined himself achieving greatness. Yet his daily habits did not support his dream. He avoided difficult training, became discouraged after mistakes, and often blamed circumstances for lack of progress. Whenever coaches criticized his weaknesses, he immediately lost confidence. Because negative thinking controlled his emotional reactions, he believed talent alone should guarantee success, and whenever failure appeared, he considered surrender. One experienced coach eventually spoke honestly with him. The coach explained that dreams without disciplined action create disappointment. Positive thinking, the coach said, does not mean believing success will arrive easily. It means believing that effort, improvement, and persistence still matter, even when progress feels slow. The young athlete decided to change his mindset and habits. He began training consistently, even during days when motivation disappeared. Instead of fearing mistakes, he started viewing them as lessons. He focused less on immediate results and more on daily improvement. The journey remained difficult. He experienced injuries, emotional frustration, and moments of self-doubt, yet he continued moving forward because his mindset became stronger than temporary discomfort. Years later, he achieved success not because life became easy, but because he learned the relationship between positive thinking and disciplined action. His story reveals an important truth. Human beings often wait to feel confident before taking action. Yet confidence usually develops after repeated action and experience. Positive thinking helps individuals continue acting before visible success appears. Action transforms ideas into reality. Without action, hope becomes fantasy, while action without hope often leads to emotional exhaustion. Healthy positivity creates balance. It combines realistic thinking with determination and effort. Another important aspect of action involves responsibility. Many individuals spend years blaming circumstances, society, family, or luck for their struggles. While external difficulties certainly exist, endless blame weakens personal power. Positive thinking encourages individuals to focus on what can still be controlled. A person may not control every event, but can still control effort, attitude, discipline, learning, and response to difficulty. This understanding creates emotional strength because individuals stop viewing themselves as helpless victims of life. Positive thinking also influences persistence. Every meaningful journey contains obstacles, failure, rejection, and uncertainty. People who expect perfection become discouraged quickly when challenges appear. However, those with healthier mindsets understand that struggle is part of growth. They continue moving forward even when progress feels slow. History provides countless examples of individuals who succeeded after repeated failure. Inventors, entrepreneurs, scientists, writers, and leaders often faced criticism, rejection, and disappointment before achieving recognition. What allowed them to continue was not the absence of failure, but the refusal to surrender emotionally. Fear often prevents action more than lack of ability. Human beings naturally Avoid situations involving uncertainty, embarrassment, criticism, or possible disappointment. Yet growth rarely occurs inside complete comfort. Positive thinking gives individuals courage to face uncertainty while continuing to believe in possibility. Many opportunities are lost because people allow fear to control decisions. They delay important conversations, avoid learning new skills, and refuse meaningful challenges because negative thinking convinces them that failure would be unbearable. Over time, regret becomes heavier than the original fear. Positive thinking changes the interpretation of failure. A negative mindset views failure as proof of personal weakness, while a positive mindset views failure as information and experience. Every mistake contains lessons capable of producing wisdom, improvement, and emotional maturity. Discipline remains essential because motivation naturally changes. Human emotions rise and fall. Some days individuals feel inspired while other days they feel tired, frustrated, or uncertain. Successful people do not rely only on temporary emotional excitement. They develop habits and routines that continue supporting progress even during difficult emotional periods. This is why daily habits matter greatly. Small, consistent actions eventually create major transformation. Reading regularly, exercising, studying, practicing gratitude, managing time carefully, and maintaining emotional awareness all strengthen long-term growth. Positive thinking also improves decision-making. Fear-based thinking narrows perception and creates panic, while emotionally balanced thinking encourages problem-solving and creativity. Hopeful individuals usually search for solutions instead of becoming trapped in helplessness. During difficult situations, two people may experience the same problem yet react completely differently. One person collapses emotionally and stops trying, while another person remains calm enough to search for practical solutions. Again, the difference often lies in mindset. The relationship between positive thinking and physical health is also important. Human beings function more effectively when emotional stress remains balanced. Chronic negativity, anxiety, hopelessness, and emotional tension affect sleep, energy, concentration, and overall well-being. Positive thinking supports healthier emotional states, which improve physical vitality as well. Relationships also benefit from constructive action. Individuals carrying excessive negativity often spread emotional tension into friendships, families, and workplaces. Fear, anger, insecurity, and bitterness damage communication and trust. Meanwhile, emotionally balanced individuals usually communicate with greater patience, kindness, and emotional maturity. Positive thinking encourages people to become more supportive, encouraging, and cooperative because emotionally healthy minds are less controlled by jealousy, resentment, and insecurity. This creates stronger relationships and healthier social environments. Patience is another important lesson connected with action. Modern society often promotes instant success and immediate results. Many individuals become discouraged quickly when transformation does not happen immediately, yet meaningful growth usually requires time. Emotional healing, skill development, financial stability, and personal success all develop gradually. Positive thinking helps individuals remain committed during slow progress. It reminds them that small, consistent effort eventually produces visible change. Trees do not grow in one day, and neither does human potential another. Essential truth is that positive thinking does not guarantee a perfect life. Human beings cannot control every outcome. Sometimes hard-working people still experience disappointment, loss, or failure. Yet positive thinking helps individuals recover more effectively because setbacks no longer destroy personal identity. Completely resilient people experience pain like everyone else, but they refuse to remain emotionally defeated forever. They allow themselves to feel sadness and frustration while continuing to believe that life still contains possibility, meaning, and future opportunity. Human beings possess extraordinary potential when belief and action work together. Thoughts influence behavior, behavior shapes habits, and habits slowly shape destiny. Positive thinking, therefore, becomes far more than temporary emotional comfort. It becomes practical emotional fuel, supporting growth. Perseverance, discipline, and resilience. Everyday individuals make choices about whether they will strengthen fear or strengthen hope. The quality of these choices influences action, and action eventually influences the direction of life. Through constructive thinking, responsible behavior, and persistent effort, human beings can gradually transform both inner character and external circumstances. Relationship between positive thinking and action teaches one powerful lesson. Dreams become reality only when belief is supported by consistent, courageous, and disciplined effort. Chapter 4. Overcoming fear through positive thinking. Fear is one of the strongest emotions experienced by human beings. It protects people from danger, helps survival, and creates caution during uncertain situations. Yet fear also becomes destructive when it begins controlling thoughts, decisions, dreams, and personal growth. Many individuals spend years trapped inside invisible prisons created not by reality itself, but by fear inside the mind. Fear appears in different forms. Some people fear failure, while others fear rejection, criticism, loneliness, poverty, embarrassment, or uncertainty. Some fear losing relationships, while others fear taking risks and leaving comfort zones. Regardless of the form, fear weakens confidence and limits potential when allowed to dominate the mind. Human mind naturally imagines possible danger because survival instincts developed over thousands of years. Yet, modern fear often comes not from physical threats, but from imagined emotional outcomes. People become afraid of what might happen instead of focusing on what can still be done. A person may avoid starting a business because of fear of failure. Another may avoid expressing feelings because of fear of rejection. Someone may refuse opportunities because of fear of criticism. Slowly, fear begins controlling behavior until life becomes smaller, weaker, and emotionally exhausting. Positive thinking does not remove fear completely, because fear is part of human nature. Instead, positive thinking changes the relationship between individuals and fear. It teaches people how to face fear with courage, awareness, patience, and emotional balance. Many individuals believe courage means living without fear. In reality, courage means continuing to move forward despite fear. The strongest people are not always fearless. They simply refuse to allow fear to become the ruler of their lives. One young woman dreamed of becoming a public speaker since childhood. She possessed intelligence, creativity, and strong communication skills. Yet every time she stood in front of people, anxiety overwhelmed her. Her hands trembled, her voice weakened, and negative thoughts filled her mind. She feared humiliation, criticism, and failure so intensely that she avoided speaking opportunities whenever possible. As years passed, regret slowly increased inside her. She watched others achieve success while she remained trapped by fear. Although she desired growth, her mind continuously repeated destructive thoughts, such as, "You will embarrass yourself. People will judge you. You are not good enough." One day, a mentor asked her a powerful question. What is more painful, temporary fear or permanent regret? The question deeply affected her because she realized fear had already stolen many opportunities from her life. The mentor explained that fear grows stronger when avoided. Every time a person escapes difficult situations, the mind receives the message that danger truly exists. This creates a cycle where fear continues expanding over time. The only way to weaken fear is gradual, courageous action. The young woman decided to challenge herself slowly. She began speaking in small gatherings. Despite nervousness, she practiced daily, improved her preparation, and focused less on perfection and more on progress. Some experiences went well, while others felt uncomfortable. Yet with each attempt, her confidence increased slightly. Years later, she became a respected motivational speaker, helping thousands of people overcome insecurity and emotional fear. Her transformation happened not because fear disappeared completely, but because she stopped allowing fear to control her decisions. This Example reveals an important truth: fear often appears larger inside the imagination than in reality. The mind creates exaggerated emotional stories about possible failure, embarrassment, or rejection. Positive thinking helps individuals challenge these mental exaggerations and replace them with healthier perspectives. Fear becomes especially dangerous when connected with negative thinking. A person who constantly imagines disaster, failure, and humiliation creates emotional paralysis. The body reacts to these thoughts with stress, anxiety, tension, and exhaustion. Over time, confidence weakens and avoidance becomes habitual. Positive thinking interrupts this destructive cycle by creating hope and emotional stability. Instead of asking, "What if everything goes wrong?" the mind begins asking, "What if growth is still possible? What if I can learn, improve, and recover even after mistakes?" This shift in thinking changes emotional energy completely. Human beings become more willing to take action when they stop viewing failure as permanent destruction. Positive thinking creates resilience, which is the ability to recover after difficult experiences. Fear of failure is one of the most common emotional struggles. Many individuals avoid opportunities because they believe failure would prove personal weakness. Yet failure is not always the opposite of success. Often failure becomes part of the journey toward success. Every meaningful achievement usually involves mistakes, setbacks, and learning experiences. Inventors, athletes, entrepreneurs, artists, and leaders throughout history experienced repeated failure before achieving greatness. Their success emerged because they continued learning and acting. Instead of surrendering emotionally, positive thinking teaches that mistakes do not define identity. A person can fail at an activity without becoming a failure as a human being. This understanding creates emotional freedom because individuals stop connecting temporary outcomes with permanent self-worth. Fear of criticism also controls many lives. Human beings naturally desire acceptance and respect, yet attempting to please everyone creates emotional exhaustion. No matter what choices people make, someone will always disagree, criticize, or misunderstand. Many talented individuals hide their abilities because they fear judgment from others. They silence dreams, avoid opportunities, and suppress creativity in order to avoid criticism. Over time, regret often becomes heavier than the criticism itself. Positive thinking helps individuals understand that personal growth sometimes requires discomfort, criticism, and misunderstanding. Strong minds focus more on purpose, values, and long-term growth rather than temporary opinions from others. Another powerful fear is fear of uncertainty. Human beings prefer predictability because uncertainty creates emotional discomfort. Yet life itself remains uncertain. Careers, relationships, health, and circumstances can change unexpectedly. No person possesses complete control over the future. Negative thinking increases suffering during uncertainty because the mind continuously imagines worst-case scenarios. Positive thinking encourages a healthier approach. Instead of demanding complete certainty, individuals learn to trust their ability to adapt, grow, and survive challenges. If they appear, emotional flexibility becomes extremely important in overcoming fear. Life rarely follows perfect plans. Unexpected difficulties, disappointments, and changes are unavoidable. People who depend entirely on certainty often struggle emotionally. When life becomes unpredictable, positive thinking strengthens adaptability because hopeful individuals believe solutions, opportunities, and growth can still emerge. Even during difficult seasons, they remain emotionally open instead of collapsing. Under pressure, fear also affects relationships. Many individuals fear vulnerability, honesty, and emotional openness. Because previous experiences created pain, they build emotional walls to protect themselves from possible rejection or betrayal. While caution can sometimes be necessary, excessive fear prevents deep human connection. Positive thinking encourages emotional courage. It teaches individuals that meaningful relationships require trust, communication, and openness although emotional pain is possible. Isolation created by fear often causes even greater suffering. The body also responds strongly to fear. Chronic fear increases stress hormones, tension, fatigue, sleep problems, and emotional exhaustion. People living constantly in fear often experience reduced energy, concentration, and overall well-being. Practices such as deep reflection, healthy routines, gratitude, prayer, meditation, physical exercise, and supportive relationships help calm the mind and reduce fear-based thinking. Positive thinking works more effectively when supported by healthy lifestyle habits. Another important lesson is that fear often decreases through action rather than endless thinking. Many individuals attempt to eliminate fear completely before taking action. Yet fear usually weakens after repeated experience, not before it. Taking small, courageous steps gradually retrains the mind and builds confidence. Growth always exists outside complete comfort. Every meaningful achievement requires some level of uncertainty, effort, and emotional risk. Positive thinking helps individuals continue moving despite temporary discomfort because they focus more on possibility than fear. Patience is necessary during this process. Fear, developed over many years, rarely disappears instantly. Emotional transformation requires repeated effort, awareness, and courage. Some days confidence feels stronger, while other days old fears return, yet consistent practice gradually weakens fear and strengthens resilience. Positive thinking does not promise a life without difficulty, embarrassment, or failure. Instead, it provides emotional strength necessary to face life with courage, maturity, and hope. It reminds individuals that fear should become a signal for growth rather than a prison preventing growth. Every human being experiences fear. The difference between limited lives and meaningful lives often depends on response. Some people surrender completely to fear, while others acknowledge fear, yet continue walking forward. The power of positive thinking lies not in denying fear, but in refusing to worship fear. When hope becomes stronger than insecurity, human beings discover abilities, courage, and resilience they never realized existed within themselves. Chapter 5: Building Self-Confidence Through Positive Thinking. Self-confidence is one of the most important foundations of a meaningful and successful life. It influences decisions, relationships, communication, goals, emotional health, and personal growth. A confident person walks through life with greater courage, stability, and determination, while a person lacking confidence often struggles with fear, hesitation, insecurity, and self-doubt. Many people misunderstand confidence. They believe confidence belongs only to naturally talented, beautiful, wealthy, or successful individuals. In reality, true confidence is not created by external appearance, social status, or perfection. Genuine confidence develops from inner belief, self-respect, emotional resilience, and repeated personal growth. A person with confidence does not believe life will always be easy. Such a person simply trusts the ability to learn, adapt, recover, and continue moving forward despite challenges. This trust becomes stronger through positive thinking, disciplined action, and life experience. Self-confidence and positive thinking are deeply connected because thoughts shape identity. Every human being carries an internal voice that speaks continuously throughout the day. Some individuals encourage themselves mentally, while others constantly criticize themselves. These inner conversations slowly become emotional reality. A person who repeatedly thinks, "I am weak, I cannot succeed," or "nobody values me," gradually begins behaving according to these beliefs. Confidence weakens, motivation decreases, and emotional insecurity becomes stronger. On the other hand, a person who practices healthier thoughts begins developing emotional strength and personal courage. Many confidence problems begin during childhood. Negative criticism, comparison, emotional neglect, bullying, and repeated failure often damage self-belief deeply. A child constantly compared with others may grow into adulthood believing personal worth depends entirely on approval, achievement, or perfection. As years pass, these hidden insecurities continue affecting relationships, career choices, and emotional well-being. Many talented people remain silent because they fear judgment, while others avoid opportunities because they secretly believe they are not good enough. One young man dreamed of becoming a teacher since his school years. He loved learning and possessed strong communication skills. Yet he struggled with deep insecurity because during childhood classmates frequently mocked his appearance and speaking style. These experiences created emotional wounds that remained inside him for many years. Whenever he imagined standing before students, fear immediately entered his mind. He believed people would laugh at him, reject him, or criticize him. Just before completing university, he considered abandoning his dream completely because self-doubt had become stronger than hope. One evening he spoke honestly with an elderly neighbor known for wisdom and kindness. The old man listened carefully and then said something powerful. Confidence is not the absence of weakness. Confidence is the decision to stop allowing weakness to control your future. These words remained in his mind deeply. He realized he had spent years allowing old memories and negative thoughts to define his identity. Instead of focusing on personal growth, he constantly focused on imagined judgment from others. He decided to challenge his insecurity. Gradually, he began practicing public speaking daily, even when fear appeared. He improved his knowledge, communication skills, and emotional discipline. Whenever negative thoughts entered his mind, he consciously replaced them with constructive thinking. The process was difficult. There were still moments of embarrassment, nervousness, and emotional struggle. Yet every small victory increased his confidence slowly. Over time, he became emotionally stronger because he stopped measuring personal worth through the opinions of others. Years later, he became a respected teacher loved by students for his honesty, patience, and encouragement. His confidence did not emerge suddenly. It developed through repeated action, positive thinking, and emotional resilience. This story reveals an important truth. Confidence is built not by avoiding fear, but by facing fear repeatedly. Human beings become stronger through experience, effort, and personal growth, not through perfection. Positive thinking plays a major role in this process because confidence depends heavily on mental perspective. A person who constantly focuses on weaknesses, failures, and flaws creates emotional insecurity. Meanwhile, a person who focuses on learning, progress, and possibility develops greater emotional strength. This does not mean ignoring weaknesses. Genuine confidence requires honesty. Emotionally mature individuals recognize imperfections while still believing in their ability to improve. Positive thinking encourages balanced self-awareness rather than arrogance or denial. Another important aspect of confidence involves self-acceptance. Many individuals destroy their peace by constantly comparing themselves with others. Social media, society, and unrealistic expectations increase this problem greatly. People compare appearance, wealth, achievements, relationships, and lifestyles without understanding the hidden struggles behind those images. Comparison creates emotional exhaustion because there will always be someone richer, more talented, or more attractive. When identity depends entirely on comparison, confidence remains unstable. Positive thinking teaches individuals to focus more on personal growth rather than endless competition with others. Every human being possesses unique abilities, experiences, and value. Growth becomes healthier when people compete mainly with their previous selves instead of constantly seeking validation from society. Confidence also develops through discipline. Human beings trust themselves more when actions align with goals. A person who keeps promises, practices consistently, manages responsibilities, and continues learning gradually builds stronger self-respect. For example, physical exercise often improves confidence not only because of physical appearance, but because disciplined action creates emotional strength. Similarly, education, skill development, and healthy habits all contribute to stronger belief in personal ability. Positive thinking supports this process by encouraging persistence during difficult moments. Many people quit quickly because they expect immediate perfection. Yet confidence develops gradually through repeated effort, mistakes, learning, and recovery. Every challenge survived becomes evidence of inner strength. Fear of failure destroys confidence for many individuals. They believe mistakes prove weakness or worthlessness. Yet failure is part of every meaningful journey. No successful person lives without disappointment, setbacks, or errors. Positive thinking changes the interpretation of failure. Instead of viewing failure as permanent defeat, emotionally healthy individuals view failure as experience and opportunity for growth. Another major source of insecurity is fear of judgment. Human beings naturally desire acceptance and belonging, yet attempting to satisfy every opinion creates emotional instability. Because public approval constantly changes, confident individuals understand that criticism is unavoidable. They listen to useful advice, while refusing to allow destructive opinions to define identity. Positive thinking helps individuals remain emotionally balanced even when facing rejection or misunderstanding. Relationships strongly influence confidence as well. Supportive environments filled with encouragement, honesty, and emotional safety strengthen self-belief, while toxic relationships often increase insecurity, fear, and self-doubt. Human beings unconsciously absorb emotional energy from people around them. This is why healthy friendships, mentors, and positive influences are extremely important. Emotionally supportive relationships remind individuals of their worth, potential, and ability to continue growing. The body and mind are deeply connected. Physical health influences emotional confidence significantly. Poor sleep, unhealthy habits, constant stress, and physical neglect weaken emotional resilience, while healthy routines strengthen mental clarity and energy. Practices such as regular exercise, healthy eating, reflection, gratitude, learning, and emotional self-care all support stronger confidence, because human beings function best when mind and body work together harmoniously. Another important lesson is that confidence grows through action rather than endless thinking. Many individuals wait to feel completely ready before taking opportunities. Yet readiness often develops after action, not before it. Speaking, learning, creating, leading, and facing challenges gradually increase confidence through real experience. Positive thinking encourages individuals to take small, courageous steps, even when uncertainty remains. Each step weakens insecurity and strengthens emotional resilience over time. These repeated actions create lasting transformation. Confidence does not mean becoming perfect, fearless, or superior to others. True confidence means accepting humanity while continuing to grow. It means recognizing both strengths and weaknesses without becoming controlled by insecurity. Some of the most confident individuals remain humble, because genuine confidence does not require constant attention, validation, or superiority. Inner stability allows emotionally healthy people to respect others while also respecting themselves. Thinking, therefore, becomes one of the greatest tools for building confidence. It reshapes internal conversations, strengthens emotional resilience, encourages disciplined action, and helps individuals recover from failure more effectively. Every human being possesses the potential to develop stronger confidence regardless of past experiences, emotional wounds, or previous insecurity. The journey may require patience, courage, and consistent effort, but transformation remains possible. The quality of self-confidence influences the quality of life. People who believe in their ability to learn, grow, and continue despite difficulties usually experience greater freedom, opportunity, and emotional peace. Confidence begins when individuals stop allowing fear, criticism, and past pain to define identity and start believing that growth, strength, and possibility still exist within them. Chapter 6: The Power of Hope During Difficult Times. Life is filled with moments of beauty, happiness, love, achievement, and peace. Yet every human being also experiences pain, disappointment, uncertainty, loss, and emotional struggle. No person escapes hardship regardless of wealth, status, intelligence, or success. Difficult seasons are part of the human journey, and during those seasons, one of the greatest sources of strength is hope. Hope is far more powerful than many people realize. It is not merely wishful thinking or emotional fantasy. Hope is the inner belief that darkness is not permanent and that improvement, healing, or meaning can still emerge even during painful circumstances. Hope gives human beings the emotional strength to continue moving forward when everything around them appears uncertain. Without hope, the mind becomes weak. Fear increases, motivation disappears, and emotional exhaustion slowly takes control. Many individuals lose direction in life, not because solutions are impossible, but because hopelessness convinces them to stop searching for solutions. Positive thinking and hope are deeply connected, because hopeful individuals usually focus more on possibility than permanent defeat. They acknowledge suffering honestly while refusing to believe that suffering will last forever. This balance between realism and optimism creates emotional resilience. Difficult times test the human spirit. Financial struggles, illness, broken relationships, failure, loneliness, and unexpected loss all challenge emotional stability. During such moments, negative thinking often becomes stronger. The mind begins asking painful questions. Why is this happening? Will life ever improve? Is there any reason to continue trying? When hopelessness grows unchecked, emotional suffering increases greatly. People stop believing in themselves and sometimes stop believing in the future itself. Yet history repeatedly shows that many individuals who survived the darkest seasons of life did so because they refused to abandon hope completely. One middle-aged man spent many years building a small business that supported his family. He worked tirelessly with honesty, discipline, and dedication, believing that his efforts would eventually create stability for his children. However, an economic crisis suddenly destroyed much of his business. Within a short period, he lost financial security, accumulated debt, and faced severe emotional stress. Pressure increased. He began feeling ashamed, hopeless, and emotionally exhausted. Every morning, fear filled his mind. He avoided social gatherings because he feared judgment from others, and he constantly blamed himself for circumstances beyond his control. One evening, while sitting alone, he looked at his children sleeping peacefully and realized something important. Although he had lost money, he had not lost the ability to continue fighting for his family. He understood that surrendering emotionally would only deepen the suffering. The next morning, he decided to change his mindset. Instead of focusing only on what had been lost, he began focusing on what still remained. He still possessed experience, knowledge, health, determination, and people who loved him. He began searching for new opportunities with patience and humility. The process was extremely difficult. There were moments of rejection, frustration, and exhaustion. Yet hope gave him the emotional strength to continue taking small steps forward. Over time, he slowly rebuilt financial stability and eventually created a stronger business than before. Years later, he often said that the most important victory was not financial recovery, but the discovery that hope can survive even during painful uncertainty. His life changed because he refused to allow temporary defeat to become permanent hopelessness. This story reveals an important truth. Difficult times often become turning points in human life. Some individuals collapse completely, while others discover hidden strength, resilience, and wisdom through suffering. The difference often lies in mindset and hope. Positive thinking helps people maintain emotional balance during hardship because it changes perspective. Instead of viewing pain as endless destruction, hopeful individuals search for lessons, opportunities, and growth hidden within difficulty. This does not mean pretending suffering feels pleasant. Pain remains painful, loss remains heartbreaking, and uncertainty remains difficult. Positive thinking simply reminds human beings that painful seasons are not necessarily the end of the journey. Hope also protects mental health during adversity. Chronic hopelessness increases anxiety, emotional exhaustion, depression, and despair. The human mind functions more effectively when it believes improvement remains possible. Hope creates emotional energy that supports perseverance, creativity, and problem-solving. Many scientific studies have shown that hopeful individuals often recover more effectively from stress, trauma, and illness because their mindset influences emotional resilience and even physical well-being. The body and mind remain deeply connected. Another important aspect of hope is patience. Modern society encourages instant results and immediate success, yet life rarely changes overnight. Healing, growth, financial recovery, emotional stability, and personal transformation usually require time. Individuals who lose patience quickly often become discouraged before meaningful progress appears. Positive thinking encourages long-term vision. It teaches individuals to trust gradual progress even when immediate results remain invisible. Small, consistent efforts eventually create meaningful transformation. Hope becomes especially important during emotional pain. Many people experience heartbreak, betrayal, loneliness, or disappointment in relationships. During such moments, the mind often convinces individuals that happiness, trust, or love will never return. Yet human beings possess remarkable emotional healing abilities when they continue believing that life still contains possibility and meaning. Some of the strongest individuals are not those who avoided suffering, but those who continued loving, living, and believing after suffering deeply. Hope allows the heart to remain open even after painful experiences. Faith, spirituality, and inner purpose also strengthen hope for many people. Believing that life contains meaning beyond temporary suffering helps individuals remain emotionally stable. During uncertainty, spiritual reflection, prayer, gratitude, and connection with deeper values often provide comfort during moments when external answers remain unclear. Community and relationships also influence hope significantly. Human beings are not designed to face every struggle alone. Supportive friends, family, mentors, and emotionally healthy environments help individuals maintain strength during difficult seasons. Sometimes a single encouraging conversation can restore emotional energy. In moments of despair, this is why kindness becomes so important. A few sincere words of encouragement may help someone continue fighting silently difficult battles. Positive thinking spreads emotional strength not only within individuals, but also through relationships and communities. Another important lesson is that difficult times often reveal hidden character. Comfort rarely develops deep resilience. Human beings frequently discover patience, courage, wisdom, compassion, and emotional strength only after facing hardship. Challenges force individuals to grow beyond previous limitations. Many successful and emotionally mature people experienced painful seasons before achieving meaningful transformation. Their suffering taught humility, gratitude, empathy, discipline, and perseverance. Difficult experiences often become powerful teachers when approached with hope instead of surrender. Positive thinking also prevents temporary problems from becoming permanent identities. A person may experience failure without becoming a failure. A person may experience loss without losing all purpose and meaning. Human beings must learn to separate temporary circumstances from permanent identity. Life continuously changes. No emotional season remains forever. Happiness and sadness, success and struggle, comfort and uncertainty all move through cycles. Remembering this truth helps individuals survive painful periods with greater patience and emotional balance. Hope does not guarantee perfect outcomes yet. Even during situations where complete solutions never appear, hope still provides dignity, courage, and emotional strength. It allows people to continue living meaningfully despite uncertainty. Another powerful aspect of hope is adaptability. Human beings often suffer more because they resist change desperately. Yet life requires constant adjustment. Plans may fail, relationships may change, opportunities may disappear unexpectedly. Hopeful individuals remain flexible enough to adapt while continuing to believe in future possibility. The power of hope becomes strongest when external circumstances appear darkest, because true hope does not depend entirely on comfort. It survives through uncertainty, struggle, and emotional pain. Hope says life may be difficult now, but the story is not finished yet. Every human being will eventually face moments where continuing forward feels difficult. During such moments, positive thinking becomes more than motivation. It becomes emotional survival. It reminds individuals that even small light can exist within great darkness. Human spirit possesses extraordinary strength. When guided by hope, people can survive unimaginable hardship, recover from painful loss, rebuild broken dreams, and continue searching for meaning, because hope gives emotional direction. During confusion and suffering, positive thinking, therefore, becomes a source of emotional endurance. It teaches human beings to believe that difficult seasons can produce wisdom, growth, resilience, and transformation instead of permanent defeat. The power of hope lies in its ability to keep the human heart alive, even during storms. When hope remains alive, possibility remains alive, and as long as possibility exists, the journey forward can continue. Chapter 7: Transforming failure into strength. Failure is one of the most misunderstood experiences in human life. Many people fear failure more than struggle, pain, or hard work, because failure often damages confidence, creates embarrassment, and awakens deep insecurity. Yet despite this fear, failure remains one of the greatest teachers of wisdom, growth, resilience, and personal transformation. Every successful person experiences failure at different stages of life. Athletes lose competitions, entrepreneurs face financial collapse, students fail examinations, artists face rejection, and leaders make painful mistakes. Failure is not limited to weak people, inexperienced people, or unsuccessful people. Failure is part of the human journey itself. The real difference between individuals does not lie in whether failure happens, but in how people respond after failure. Some people allow temporary defeat to destroy confidence, purpose, and emotional strength. Others use failure as a lesson that helps them become wiser, stronger, and more disciplined. Positive thinking plays a major role in this process because mindset influences interpretation. A negative mindset views failure as proof of worthlessness, while a positive mindset views failure as experience, information, and opportunity for growth. Human beings often connect failure too closely with personal identity. A person fails at one activity and immediately begins believing, "I am a failure." This emotional reaction becomes dangerous because temporary outcomes begin shaping permanent self-perception. Positive thinking teaches an important truth. Failing at something does not make a person worthless. Mistakes, setbacks, and disappointments are experiences, not identities. Once individuals understand this difference, emotional freedom begins developing. One young entrepreneur dreamed of building a successful technology company. He invested years of effort, money, and emotional energy into his business. During the beginning, he felt excited, hopeful, and highly motivated. He imagined success, recognition, and financial stability for his future. However, after several years, the company faced serious problems. Financial losses increased, customers disappeared, and business partnerships failed. Eventually, the company collapsed completely, leaving him emotionally devastated and deeply ashamed. For many months, he isolated himself from friends and family because he believed failure had destroyed his future. He constantly replayed mistakes inside his mind and compared himself with successful people around him. Fear, hopelessness, and self-criticism slowly consumed his emotional health. One day he visited an older businessman, respected for wisdom and experience. After listening carefully, the older man said something powerful: failure is painful, but refusing to learn from failure creates true defeat. These words changed his perspective. Slowly, he realized he had spent months focusing only on emotional pain, instead of understanding the lessons hidden inside the experience. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" he began asking, "What can this experience teach me?" He studied his mistakes carefully, He discovered weaknesses in planning, communication, financial management, and leadership, rather than allowing shame to destroy his confidence. He decided to use the experience as education. Several years later, he started another business with greater wisdom, patience, and emotional maturity. This time, his approach became stronger because failure had taught him lessons success alone could never teach. Eventually, he built a successful company and often admitted that his earlier failure became one of the most important turning points in his life. This story reveals a powerful reality. Failure often becomes the foundation of future strength when approached with the right mindset. Human beings grow deeply through adversity because challenges force learning, adaptation, and emotional development. Many individuals avoid risks completely because they fear failure so intensely, yet avoiding every possible failure also means avoiding many opportunities for growth, achievement, and meaningful experience. Fear of failure often creates a smaller life filled with regret and unrealized potential. Positive thinking helps individuals understand that failure is not always the opposite of success. In many cases, failure becomes part of the process leading toward success. Every meaningful achievement usually includes mistakes, setbacks, and periods of uncertainty. Children learn walking through repeated falling. Athletes improve through losing competitions. Writers improve through rejected work, and entrepreneurs improve through failed attempts. Human growth naturally includes error correction and continuous learning. Perfectionism often increases fear of failure greatly. Many people believe they must succeed immediately or avoid mistakes entirely. This unrealistic expectation creates emotional pressure, anxiety, and paralysis. Human beings are imperfect by nature, and growth always involves experimentation, learning, and adjustment. Positive thinking encourages progress instead of perfection. It teaches individuals to focus more on improvement, effort, and resilience rather than demanding flawless performance. Every small lesson learned through failure increases wisdom and emotional maturity. Failure also builds humility. Successful individuals who never experience setbacks sometimes become arrogant, emotionally fragile, or disconnected from reality. Failure reminds human beings of their limitations and encourages deeper empathy, patience, and understanding toward others. Some of the most compassionate, emotionally mature people develop these qualities through painful struggles and disappointments. Hardship often creates greater emotional depth because suffering teaches lessons impossible to learn through comfort alone. Another important lesson is that failure tests commitment. Many individuals pursue goals only while circumstances remain easy. Once obstacles appear, they surrender quickly because emotional discomfort becomes stronger than purpose. However, people truly committed to growth continue learning and adapting even after painful setbacks. Positive thinking strengthens perseverance during these moments, instead of interpreting obstacles as signs to quit. Emotionally resilient individuals interpret obstacles as challenges, requiring patience, creativity, and determination. Failure also teaches emotional endurance. Human beings become stronger when they survive difficult experiences, recover, and continue moving forward. Every challenge overcome increases confidence because individuals realize they are capable of handling more than previously imagined. The relationship between failure and fear is also important. Many people suffer more from imagined failure than from actual failure itself. The mind exaggerates possible embarrassment, criticism, or disappointment. Yet when failure finally occurs, most individuals eventually discover they can survive emotionally and continue rebuilding life. Realization creates courage because fear loses some of its power. Once people understand that temporary defeat cannot destroy their entire existence, they become more willing to pursue meaningful goals despite uncertainty. Positive thinking also helps people separate external outcomes from internal worth. Society often measures value through money, status, achievement, and recognition. Yet true human worth cannot be fully defined by temporary success or failure. every individual possesses. Dignity, value, and potential regardless of current circumstances. This understanding protects emotional health during difficult seasons because individuals stop allowing external setbacks to completely destroy self-respect. Healthy confidence remains rooted in character, effort, growth, and resilience rather than only public achievement. Another major benefit of failure is increased wisdom. Success sometimes hides weaknesses because positive results create comfort. Failure exposes hidden problems, weaknesses, and blind spots that require attention. Although this process feels painful, it creates opportunity for improvement and stronger future decisions. Wise individuals, therefore, treat failure as feedback rather than permanent condemnation. They ask important questions. What went wrong? What can be improved? What lessons should be remembered? How can future decisions become wiser? These questions transform painful experiences into valuable education. Positive thinking encourages curiosity and learning instead of endless self-punishment. Relationships are also affected by responses to failure. Individuals consumed by shame often isolate themselves emotionally because they fear judgment from others. Yet supportive relationships provide emotional strength during recovery. Honest conversations, encouragement, and guidance help people rebuild confidence after setbacks. This is why emotionally healthy communities matter greatly. Human beings recover more effectively when surrounded by compassion, understanding, and constructive support instead of harsh criticism and rejection. Patience remains essential during recovery from failure. Emotional wounds do not heal instantly. Confidence often requires time to rebuild, especially after major disappointments. Positive thinking encourages individuals to trust gradual healing and continue taking small steps forward. Another important truth is that some failures redirect people toward better paths. Human beings sometimes pursue goals, careers, or relationships that ultimately do not align with their deeper purpose. Painful endings occasionally create space for healthier opportunities and greater personal growth later in life. At first, these experiences may appear only as loss, yet with time, many individuals realize certain failures protected them, guided them, or prepared them for stronger futures. This perspective becomes possible through emotional maturity and hopeful thinking. Positive thinking does not remove the pain of failure. Rejection, disappointment, and loss remain emotionally difficult. However, positive thinking prevents failure from becoming permanent emotional destruction. It helps individuals maintain dignity, hope, and resilience during rebuilding. Human beings possess extraordinary ability to recover, adapt, and grow. The same experience that destroys one person may strengthen another, depending largely on mindset and emotional response. Failure, therefore, should not be feared as the end of life. Instead, it should be understood as part of growth, wisdom, and transformation. Every setback contains lessons capable of producing greater strength. Discipline, humility, resilience, and understanding the power of positive thinking lies in its ability to transform failure from a source of shame into a source of learning. When individuals stop viewing failure as final defeat, they begin discovering courage hidden within adversity. Every successful life contains chapters of struggle, disappointment, and rebuilding. Yet those who continue believing in growth eventually discover that failure can become one of the strongest foundations for future success and emotional maturity. Conclusion: life is a journey filled with uncertainty, change, struggle, opportunity, happiness, pain, growth, and endless lessons. Every human being experiences moments of fear, failure, disappointment, loneliness, and emotional exhaustion. No person escapes hardship because difficulty is part of the human experience. Yet despite these realities, one truth remains powerful. Condition of the mind greatly influences the direction of life. Throughout this journey of understanding positive thinking, one lesson becomes clear. Human beings are deeply shaped by their thoughts. Thoughts influence emotions. Emotions influence actions. And actions slowly shape destiny. A mind controlled by fear, negativity, hopelessness, and insecurity creates emotional suffering, while a mind guided by hope, courage, gratitude, and resilience creates strength, peace, and possibility. Positive thinking is not fantasy, and it is not denial of reality. It does not ask people to ignore pain or pretend life is always easy. Genuine positive thinking teaches human beings how to face reality with emotional maturity, wisdom, patience, and hope. It teaches people to continue moving forward even when circumstances become difficult. Power of positive thinking appears in every area of life. It strengthens confidence during insecurity. It creates hope during hardship. It helps individuals recover after failure. It improves relationships, communication, discipline, gratitude, and emotional resilience. Positive thinking changes not only the way people see life, but also the way they respond to life. Fear loses power when hope becomes stronger. Failure becomes education when viewed through growth. Relationships become healthier when guided by patience, empathy, and gratitude. Discipline becomes easier when purpose becomes clear. Inner peace becomes possible when the mind learns appreciation instead of endless dissatisfaction. One of the greatest truths discovered through positive thinking is that external transformation often begins with internal transformation. Before life changes completely, the mind usually changes first. A person who develops stronger thoughts gradually develops stronger actions, and stronger actions eventually create different results. This does not mean every dream will happen exactly as planned. Life remains unpredictable. Some efforts fail, some relationships end, and some painful experiences leave permanent emotional marks. Yet positive thinking helps individuals survive these moments without losing all hope, purpose, and dignity. Human beings possess extraordinary ability to adapt, recover, and grow. Many people who once felt broken eventually discovered strength. Many who experienced rejection later found purpose. Many who failed repeatedly eventually achieved meaningful success because they refused to surrender emotionally. Another important lesson is that happiness cannot depend entirely on external conditions. Wealth, status, beauty, and recognition alone cannot create lasting peace. True emotional well-being grows from balanced thinking, gratitude, meaningful relationships, purpose, discipline, and self-respect. Positive thinking also reminds human beings that growth is lifelong. No person becomes perfect. Every individual continues learning, changing, struggling, and improving throughout life. Mistakes, weaknesses, and emotional battles do not make people worthless. They simply make people human. The journey toward a positive mindset requires awareness, patience, and consistent practice. Negative habits developed over many years rarely disappear instantly. Yet every small effort toward healthier thinking creates gradual transformation over time. Just as the body becomes stronger through repeated exercise, the mind becomes stronger through repeated constructive thoughts. Surrounding oneself with supportive people, meaningful goals, healthy habits, and uplifting influences also strengthens emotional growth. Human beings absorb emotional energy from their environment, therefore protecting the mind becomes extremely important. Positive thinking should never become selfishness or arrogance. Genuine positivity includes compassion, kindness, humility, forgiveness, and encouragement toward others. Strong individuals do not use strength to dominate people. They use strength to inspire, support, and uplift others facing struggles. Every human being carries invisible battles. Some fight fear, others fight loneliness, grief, insecurity, regret, or emotional pain. This reality should create greater understanding, compassion, and patience among people. Because kindness often becomes healing for wounded hearts, the future always remains unwritten. Regardless of past mistakes, painful history does not permanently define human potential. Individuals can learn, heal, rebuild, and continue growing. Despite previous failure, hardship, or disappointment, the mind possesses extraordinary power to reshape direction. When guided with hope and discipline, life will always contain darkness at times, yet even small light can guide people through difficult seasons. Positive thinking becomes that light. It reminds human beings that storms eventually pass. Growth remains possible, and strength often appears through struggle. The greatest transformation does not happen when circumstances become perfect. It happens when individuals learn to maintain courage, gratitude, hope, and purpose. Despite imperfect circumstances, this inner transformation creates emotional freedom because peace no longer depends entirely on external conditions. The power of positive thinking ultimately lies in one simple truth. Human beings become stronger when they choose hope instead of surrender, growth instead of fear, gratitude instead of bitterness, and action instead of helplessness. Every thought planted inside the mind eventually shapes the future. Therefore, choose thoughts that build strength, wisdom, peace, resilience, compassion, and possibility. A hopeful mind creates a hopeful life, and a hopeful life creates endless opportunities for meaning, growth, and transformation. The end.
Kindly subscribe to my channel.